going on, Saints fans? Happy July. It is July 1st, so that means it's time for a new sub race. Right now, we're starting off with a big old goose egg, but so is Vikings now. And I'm going to keep it real with y'all. Kind of got our ass kicked by the Falcons Today channel last month, so don't let me down. I know July is the dog days of the offseason, but that doesn't mean we're slowing down anytime soon. So subscribe today. Let's take down Patrick Seaman and Vikings now. And plus, you get daily videos around your favorite football team. So I was scrolling through the web, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about today on the channel, and I came across a PFF article that actually was ranking all 32 NFL teams' offensive lines, and New Orleans ranked 32nd, which is not good. So really quick reminder, let's just show you guys what the offensive line looks like. In case you are unfamiliar, in case you guys haven't been paying attention, that's A-okay with me. That's why I'm here. I'm doing my job so you don't have to. Taliese Fuaga is going to be on the left side. Trevor Penning will be on the right. Nick Saldiveri is actually going to move up as the starting left guard. Cesar Ruiz on the right guard position. And, of course, Eric McCoy, who is a Pro Bowler, he's going to be your center. So that is what the starters look like. And then you have guys like Oli Udoh, Landon Young, Lucas Patrick. You also have Ryan Ramczyk, so we'll see what goes on with him. The injury updates are not necessarily positive. And then you also drafted Josiah Ezerum in the 7th round this past year. And it's kind of hard to judge, like, which offensive line is going to be the best in July. Like, I understand it's the offseason. You got to do something for content, but it's really, really tough to see what these guys are going to look like in the regular season when we haven't even put pads on. They haven't even been allowed to have any contact outside of blocking shields and whatnot. So it's kind of tough to determine or decide which teams are going to be, the absolute best and the absolute worst. But I do think that the Saints are in the conversation for a lower end offensive line. But of course, that can change depending on how things pan out. Now, PFF saying on paper, the Saints O-line features 4 former first-round picks, but their performance says otherwise. And, it is kind of a mystery to me as to why these 4 guys haven't turned in, or I guess these 3 specifically. Ryan Ramczyk, he's great, but he's hurt, and he may not play. He likely might retire this offseason. He may never play another snap for the New Orleans Saints. But these 3 guys right here, it's very, very important that they can be productive this year. Taliese Fuaga as a rookie, he has a lot of upside. This is a really, really highly touted player. Trevor Penning, he needs to put things together. The Saints invested in him early in the 2022 draft, and they need him to pan out. Cesar Ruiz, he signed an extension. He's around with the team for a few years, but the production has been so up and down. It hasn't been consistent. And to me, he's been one of the most frustrating parts about the offensive line. Now, I will say this. I think that all of that will be addressed because I think John Benton, the new offensive line coach, was a phenomenal hire for New Orleans. This is a guy who has 17-plus years of coaching experience at the collegiate level and then a ton of coaching experience at the professional level as well. And in 2003 to 2005, he was with the Rams in St. Louis as the offensive line coach. Had a long stint with the Houston Texans as the offensive line coach. Producer Jeremy Chugs, he is our Texans host here. He said he was great during that time. The offensive line coach for the Dolphins from 2014 to 15. He was the assistant offensive line coach for Jacksonville down in Duval. But then in 2017 through 2020, remember, the 49ers have had a lot of offensive success. And what is a key to offensive success? A good offensive line. And then in 2021 to 2022, he was the run game coordinator and offensive line coach for the New York Jets. Now, I do want to ask you this. Did you know this? This is actually kind of cool. Doing some more research on John Benton. Of the offensive lines he has directed since 2004, Benton had 7 seasons where those teams have finished in the top 10 in the NFL in rushing yards per game. Through 4 seasons, the 49ers produced the 4th most rushing yards in the league with top 10 rushing offenses in each of his last 3 seasons, including the number 1 rushing attack in 2019. So you go back and look at this, and there's success. There's a long history of success. There is a long pedigree of success. John Benton is a smart football mind, and he has done a great job with coaching teams up and developing offensive line talent and turning them into a successful unit. And I believe that he is going to do just that with the New Orleans Saints, and I'm really, really excited to see him do it. Now, I want you to answer this question for me. B. Mickey Loomis, where would you build your offensive line? Would you build it in the draft and try to keep taking gambles on players? It's going to be cheap. Maybe they work out, maybe they don't. Or would you go and sign players in free agency? Just type draft, type FA. Of course, there's pros and cons of both sides, but I want you guys to share your thoughts. For me personally, I like building in the draft and developing players, but I can totally understand why you would want to build in free agency because it is really frustrating when you invest early and they don't pan out like a lot of the players have so far. So back to what PFF was saying as to why New Orleans has the 32nd ranked offensive line. Right tackle Ryan Ramczyk will likely need to miss the entire season, which will force New Orleans to play Trevor Penning at that spot after benching him in 2023. Now, there's no mystery that that was going to happen. And there's actually reports dating back to May that the Saints were going to have Trevor Penning move to the right side regardless of who they drafted in the first round. Taliese Fuaga coming in, that just is amazing. It's an insurance policy because that means you can move Penning over, and then you have at least one guy who you can at least count on and hope that will pan out rather than a player who really has no choice but to succeed. There's a lot less pressure on Taliese Fuaga. Obviously, he's a rookie, but I do think that Trevor Penning can still turn things around. I mean, there's a reason he was a first-round draft pick. And the Saints, sure, they were the team that took him, but there was a lot of, reasons to like him coming out of the draft. I mean, he has an aggressive attitude. He has decent run blocking ability. We didn't really see that last year. But my point being, the traits and the skills and the attributes, a lot of that is there for Trevor Penning. It's just a matter of honing it in and crafting it from a small college school to an NFL offensive lineman. Now, the 2023 offensive line PFF grades, obviously Taliese Fuaga was in college, so he didn't really have a ranking in terms of the National Football League, but he had the highest overall PFF grade across the entire Saints offensive line. Nick Saldiveri, it's not really fair to give him a 52.1 because it was really, really limited sample size in terms of what we saw. Eric McCoy was a top 5 center according to Pro Football Focus. Cesar Ruiz, interesting enough, did not rank as high as Nick Saldiveri. I think that Cesar Ruiz should be a little bit on a hot seat if he can't figure it out. And Trevor Penning, of course, he did not test all that, or not test, but he did not grade out all that well either. But I don't want to just say, this is a Trevor Penning, you better figure this out. It's all on you, Penning. Now, Taliese Fuaga needs to prove himself too. To be quite honest, every single person on the offensive line, maybe outside of Eric McCoy, really needs to prove themselves this year. And Taliese Fuaga, I think he will. I think he has the skills. I think he is a very smart football player. I think he's a talented football player. And I think that he could be a long-term fit for New Orleans. And to be honest, I would love if he turned out to be the franchise left tackle for the Saints. And Trevor Penning could just work out on the right side, and you have your two tackles that are both young, that are both talented, and you can have them around for the foreseeable future. Now, I don't want to take any chances. I don't want to jinx this. I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. So if you want the Saints offensive line to play better, I know I do. So I'm going to be getting into every single one of my YouTube channels and liking this video. I need you to help me out. Don't take any chances. Don't jinx it. If you want the Saints offensive line to play much better, I need you to like the video. I also need you to go check out chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. It's a link in the comment section and description of this video. You can get yourself a new jersey. Go get a Tyrann Mathieu color rush. What about a home jersey for Cam Jordan? Or my personal favorite, the color rush Rashid Shaheed. That's the one that I just bought, and I hope you guys can go get yourself some gear too. But if you want to go get a rookie like a Spencer Rattler, Taliese Fuaga, Bub Means, Kool-Aid McKinstry, we got all of those guys as jerseys as well. Just use our link, chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. They're coming from Fanatics. They're high-quality stuff. This link just lets them know that we sent you, so that way you can support the show. So hit that link. It's in the comment section and description of the video. Back to PFF. Right guard Cesar Ruiz has failed to rank among the top 50 guards in Pro Football Focus's overall grade in any of his first 4 seasons. As a result, the Saints have to hope that Oregon State product Taliese Fuaga will hit the ground running at left tackle to improve the unit. Now, I do think that he will be a really, really good scheme fit, and I think that he will improve this rushing attack, no questions asked. At minicamp and at OTAs so far, on the left side, remember, this is a player at Oregon State who only lined up on as the right tackle, did not play a single snap on the left side. He has looked fluid. He's looked comfortable. He's looked very, very comfortable in the run. And it's a similar run scheme that Oregon State ran when he was in college. And you can see that he has a lot of experience in what the Saints could be kind of looking to do. We know that Klint Kubiak wants to run a wide zone run offense, and they wants to keep the ball grounded. And he played 497 snaps in zone run blocking and 177 snaps in a man/gap scheme over the last 2 seasons for the Beavers. And the rushing attack, it should improve. The attack should be much better because this production last year was not acceptable. I mean, to be quite honest, it was just bad. It was underwhelming. It was frustrating. You never saw Alvin Kamara really take the step and dominate a game. You never saw Jamal Williams ever get active. Kendre Miller, he was fun in spurts, but he was hurt. And a lot of the offensive success hones in or comes down to the offensive line's play. By that same token, the failure a lot of the times does come from offensive line too. The Saints need to do a better job of giving the running backs more of an opportunity to push forward and get some yards before they make contact so that way they can maximize their offensive plays. I mean, when you are 31 in yards per carry and then you are also 21st in rushing yards per game, I mean, that's not good, guys. That's not good. And my final thoughts, just straight up, I don't think that the Saints have the 32nd worst offensive line, but I think that they're definitely like 28 to 32 somewhere. Like, I don't think that they're a great unit by any means, but I do think that this is a team that has a lot to prove, and I think that they can prove it. John Benton, please help us out. I need a better offensive line play, but I do think that if the offensive line cannot execute, this will be an extremely long and an extremely frustrating season. So hopefully that they can play a lot better, and hopefully they can turn things around and be a better unit in 2023. So I want to ask you this question. Where do you think the Saints rank in terms of their offensive line? I said anywhere from 28 to 31. I could really be convinced, and I could probably agree with you. So I want you to share your thoughts. They're definitely not a top 10. So if you're putting top 10, I disagree with you, man. But if you think that they are a bad unit, share your thoughts. We want to hear from you, Who Dat Nation. And y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.